Welcome to Hiking 101. Now we're going to talk about shelters. This shouldn't be a very long segment at all. There's only three main types of shelters out there as far as backpacking are concerned. The first type is your standard tent. Tents come in from one person to up to 4 to 5 people. Obviously, if you're backpacking, you're going to look for something that's a 1 or 2 person tent. Tents generally are going to be the heaviest selection when it comes to a shelter system. This one in particular is an REI quarter dome T2, and this weighs in at over 3.5 pounds, and that's not including the tent poles that go with it. So you're looking at 4 pounds. There's two types of tents out there. There's a 3-season tent, which primarily has more mesh for ventilation in the hotter times of the year. And then there's the 4-season, which has limited mesh, which is mainly a single wall, which doesn't allow that much heat to escape the tent because you're going to be using it in a snowstorm. There are lighter versions out there. REI makes some pretty light versions. Marmot makes some pretty light versions. But if you really want to go the lightest possible route, most manufacturers use what's called sil nylon, which is a waterproof nylon that has silicone impregnated in it. A lot of the cottage industry makers are making these out of Cuban fiber, which is going to cost you a lot of money. Or they'll use a lighter version of sil nylon, or what's called spinnaker, which is a material that's lighter than sil nylon, heavier than Cuban fiber. It's kind of like the middle ground, but it has less packability than Cuban fiber or sil nylon, and it's quite noisy. It's up to you which way you want to go with it, but that's a tent. The next one is a hammock. Yeah, a hammock. As far as hammocks are concerned, a man by the name of Sean Emery, nicknamed Shug, he came up with a series as far as hammock camping and the items you need and the different variations there are when it comes to hammock camping, because they get pretty insane, and my particular version is a pretty dumbed down version. They can get pretty extravagant. I tend to go more on the kiss method, keep it short and sweet. But this standard hammock, which is a wall bonnet 1.1 single layer hammock, is 1.2 pounds. So you're looking at 4 pounds to 1.2 pounds, and the cottage industry gets down to about 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds. So I'm going to actually have a series of videos or a link to his videos in the information section. I'm not going to go into it. What I will go into is a tent will have everything you need when you first purchase it. So you're going to have a rain fly for when it rains. You could purchase a footprint, which is the ground that goes underneath your tent to eliminate the moisture from the ground at night and to protect the hammock from ground debris. A hammock, generally speaking, except with the exception of the Hennessy hammocks, which have the rain fly and the hammock, you're just going to get the hammock, which is going to cost you anywhere from $150 to $180. Then you're going to have to purchase your shelter system, which would be a tarp, and that would run you another $150 to $250 depending on the material you're looking for and the size of the tarp. All right, so this is going to run you about $300 for a complete set. This is going to run you about $300 for a complete set, but your purchase will be a single purchase where you'll have to do multiple purchases for something like this. Then the lightest version out there would be what's called a tarp. That's all it is. You're just taking a tarp with you, using your hiking poles or a series of tent stakes to stake it out, and using your sleeping pad, maybe a ground sheet. So this is the lightest method. This is a Cuban fiber tarp. which is the latest and greatest material out in the market right now, and this goes in at 6 ounces. So you're looking at 4 pounds, pound and a half a pound. Packability in that order would be tent takes up the most space, hammock doesn't take up that much space, and your tarp takes up the least space. So I'm going to have a series of links to Cottage Industries as far as hammocks, tarps, and tents. So you can look at what's out there as far as REI and Eastern Mountain Sports has in their selection. Then you can look on what through hikers and hikers are producing and having available, so you can see the differences in prices and the differences in weight. It gives you a little more options on what you're trying to look for as far as backpacking is concerned.